The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. The Department of Defense is working with Google to help secure America's digital defense systems, from establishing cloud-based zero-trust solutions to deploying the latest AI technology. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American innovation.
You are listening to Women's Running Stories, where exceptional women runners share inspirational stories about their running experiences. I am Cherie Louise Turner. I'm the host and producer of this podcast. Thank you so much for being here. You are in for a special treat. This is a live recording of my conversation with professional runner Annie Rodenfels. We sat down on March 22nd at the Tracksmith Track House here in Boston. And I want to thank Keaton Eibendahl for all of her help in making this happen. And thank you to everyone who joined us. We had a great conversation, and there was some really great Q&A. Here is my live conversation from the Tracksmith Track House in Boston with Annie Rodenfels. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here, for joining us on this beautiful Saturday morning. We have Annie Rodenfels here. I'm so excited to talk to you. This is the second time I've gotten to talk to Annie. We've had her on the podcast before, but it's the first time we've met in person.
Yes, it is.
And so on the note of podcasts, we are recording this morning. So just so you know, this will come out as a podcast. And I'll introduce myself. I'm Cherie Louise Turner, and I'm the host and producer of Women's Running Stories, which is a podcast where exceptional women runners share inspirational stories about their running experiences. We have one such exceptional runner here today. Annie is one of the fastest pro racers out here on the roads and the track these days. But it took many years to get to where you are today. So I'm going to give a little background on Annie. She's from Dayton, Ohio. She's now living here in Boston. Annie's always been a competitor, but she was focused more on soccer in high school. She ran some track and field in high school, but then she focused on running in college. She ran for the D3 school, Center College in Danville, Kentucky, and developed into quite a runner and a racer. She won 3 national championship titles while she was there, twice in the steeplechase, once in the 5K. She was the first D3 woman to break 10 minutes in the steeplechase, and she was a 7-time All-American. She then turned pro, which doesn't happen very often with D3 athletes, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And she raced for the ASICS Greenville Track Club Elite in South Carolina. And then she got signed in 2021 by the BAA. And in her pro career, she has won 3 national championships. In 2023, she actually won her first 10K, and that was the prestigious Boston 10K for women, which is here in Boston, obviously, not far from where we are. And then she went on to win the 5K national championships on the road in New York City. And last year, she won the 6K national championships. She got 8th in the steeplechase at the Olympic trials with a really amazing race. Went for that team spot at the trials. And then she followed it up by winning once again the 5K national champs in November in New York City. So, and we get to have her here today. Today, Annie is a free agent. And training and racing here in Boston. So thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thanks for my bio. It was lengthy.
Yeah. Like I got it
very
all
extensive
in.
research.
So I do want to talk about this progression that you have had from being a D3 athlete to becoming not just a professional runner, but also being a champion professional runner and winning championship races, because that is not a very common story. So I'm wondering if you can talk us through sort of your progression. Like, did you expect to be a professional runner? Was this a dream? Kind of starting with your college career, can you talk us through how this has all come about?
Yeah, absolutely. I ran track 2 years at the end of high school, was doing soccer. I played basketball. I played tennis one season. And I really wanted to go on to be a college soccer player, but kind of felt like I just missed the boat with like getting recruited and talking to coaches because you do it really young.
Okay.
You're usually going to like camps by the time you're a sophomore or junior, and I'm a procrastinator, so I did none of that. And my high school coach had run in college, and she was like, you should do it. Like, you're really good. You haven't really been trained a lot. And so I recruited myself to a bunch of D3 colleges, met with my coach. She came and drove 3 hours to eat with my family in Ohio for a lunch and was just very competitive and excited about me. And I didn't get that with some of the other D3 coaches. They were, they're just like, yeah, you'd fit into our program, even though I knew like my times as a high schooler would be one of the better times on their team. And so just like her excitement made me excited. And my parents kind of were like, is she kind of just like selling us? Like, is this true? Like, you think Annie's going to be a good runner? Like, she's barely done this. But I went there, and I definitely wasn't good at first. I barely trained the first summer coming into college because I didn't understand that you needed to run every day. So like I was working at a camp and I just didn't run at all the entire summer. Yeah. So it took me a while. Like I'm a very competitive person naturally. So there's a girl on my team who was pretty decent, and I like started probably by the end of my freshman year just kind of hanging around her a lot and asking her like, what do you do for this? What do you do for that? And kind of just slowly learning the lessons that you need to learn to be a good runner, which is like consistency and recovery.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what did she tell you?
Yeah, pretty much just that. Like she trained, every day basically, and she didn't take her long runs off like I was doing. And I like, if she got injured, I'd say like, oh, what do you do for this, Serena? Like, how do you manage this? Like, and just pestered her with questions. Right. And so that, along with just like learning I needed to be consistent and like kind of just fully committing to it, I started seeing improvements in my times. And honestly, that became like addictive. I'm someone who like, as a high school soccer player, we did this like really hard running drill during preseason every year that everyone else hated. I would go out over the summer and practice it. It was just like, it was basically just sprinting up and down at the soccer field like 10 times in a row with like 30 seconds. Everyone hated it. People would puke. I would go out over the summer and practice it once a week. And I loved seeing like when I would put time into something, getting better at it. Yeah. And in soccer and basketball, that's not always the case. I could work a lot on my skills, but that doesn't impact the game a lot. Like, my team isn't suddenly winning. Right. And I was usually on bad teams. So like we lost a lot because I went to a small school. So like with running, I saw that like, oh, I'm running more miles, or like I'm actually doing my training. And I saw myself get better. And that was extremely rewarding for me. So that was one of the main things I saw that like I loved about running. So yeah, I just kept working harder and harder. I had, coaches and an assistant grad coach and teammates who like believed in me and were just like, sometimes when I wasn't sure, they'd be like, no, you can go to nationals. Like, you could finish kind of high. And I'd be like, really? And so I would like, that would give me the confidence to like go out there and try it. And so, slowly rose to the top of D3, which was exciting because I didn't start there. Right. I think a lot of the people who end up at the top of D3 usually come into D3 being very good. Right. And so they just stay there. I really like worked my way up, which was valuable. Because then when I did go, I would say semi-pro because I wasn't getting paid. I had to basically restart all over again. Right. Where I was like, oh, I'm the worst. And everyone else out here is like way better than me.
Were you really feeling that way?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Because I would race like not even the big named pros now. And I would, one time I lost to a high school girl who got the high school record. And so it's just like, oh, that's humbling. And like that happens a lot. Like obviously there's very good high school girls, but it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be a professional and this high school girl who's 16 just beat me. Right. So yeah, it was like an adjustment, but I had already gone through it before. So yeah.
And what about like your transition? Like you went from being like, oh, I'm really not very good at this and gone through that process, but like, where have you found this confidence to then not get better as a pro and also like show up at the line and like, I'm going to win or I can win, like having that sort of mentality, like walk us through that, please.
I think it's taken time. I mean, like I said, I'm competitive. So I think for me, part of being competitive is this like very deep-seated belief that like I'm capable of whatever great things I think I'm capable of, right? And I just have like a drive to be the best, honestly. I think women are scared to say that a lot, but like I want to be the best.
Yeah.
Like, I love my competitors. I love being around them. But like, of course, like, I'm not going to pretend I don't want to win every race and I don't want, every American record ever, whatever you can think of. Like, I want to be an Olympic, like, everyone wants that.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think I had that underlying element of like confidence that I could be very good because I thought I had the skills, the mentality. I think it took time to develop the confidence to get on a line and actually be like, I think I can win.
Right.
And some of that came from like proving myself that I could. So like by winning races, by showing up and knowing I have the training behind me and then executing the race the way it should be. And that doesn't always mean that it wasn't every single time I won I got confidence, but if I went into a race and I thought, okay, I'm in shape to run 15:10, and then I did run 15:10, that gives you confidence too, that you're doing the right things, that what you thought was possible, and just like, continuously meeting the goals that you set for yourself. So it took a lot of time. I mean, sometimes still today, especially in some track races, I don't feel super confident. Definitely on the roads I do. I think I've proven myself a little bit on the roads where I know that that's a strength of mine. Like if I'm running the 5K road champs, I'm kind of like, okay, like I can assess who's in it and be like, I think I think I can win this.
Right.
And that helps a lot. The track is like a little harder to get confidence because you just, in your head, okay, this person's on the line and they've ran 14:50 and I've only ran 15 flat. And it's just like a whole nother game and it's very intense. So
yeah, the track does seem to have an intensity that
so
the roads don't quite have. And I will ask you a little bit more about that, but I am curious, let's talk about your training.
Yeah.
And how has your training like changed and progressed over time? Like what are some of the key things that have happened in your training life that have helped you get faster? And then on the flip side of that, how is that balanced out with your recovery? Because recovery is obviously like they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. I think my training has changed. Not a ton, but it's 100% progressed over time. My college coach was amazing, but we just did the Jack Daniels. It's like a book, and it's like
interesting.
Yeah. And so like you could predict what workouts we were going to do. It was a lot of like certain thresholds and a lot of like repeats of certain things, which was great for developing me. But at some point, I definitely outgrew that. But that was around when I was switching teams anyway. So then I go to my semi-pro team in South Carolina, and it was a lot of, it was a good step up, but it only took me so far. And that it was a lot of short recovery, nothing super fast. I was never hitting race pace. And at the time, I felt like it was really good. And I was, because it was different than what I had done. And I felt like I was progressing. And it took me so far, like I said, but I think I struggled at the end to kind of start hitting the next mark of what I thought I should do because I wasn't hitting those things. So then I came here to the BAA and we were suddenly doing maybe longer rests between stuff, but I was running much faster, like K repeats, for example.
Right, okay.
Than ever before. And that just, it worked well because at Greenville, I think because of the workouts I was doing, I had a lot of strength from them because it was 8 or 10K of work with like very low rest, like one pace. And it was never fast, but I got really, really strong off of it. So then I came here, my training changed a little bit. I ran a little bit more miles and the workouts didn't feel as necessarily intense because there was bigger breaks, but I was like actually hitting race pace.
Right.
So then I got to do that. And it was like, I saw a change immediately. And like I ran a huge PB, my first race here, like 3 months into being here. And it was like, oh, okay. Like you actually sometimes need to like run a little faster. But at first I was cautious about it because I was like, oh, this isn't as intense as my training before. Like, have I made a mistake? Like, is this not good? So yeah, I feel like I've learned things as I've gone. And now coaching myself, I've gotten into, I've just done a little bit higher mileage. I've tried to take the workouts that I know I work well off of and just do those. And then I've also had, a friend who coaches at Pepperdine University kind of look over my training because I'm scared that I'm like missing something.
Right.
Because I also know there's certain workouts I don't like to do.
Yeah.
So I avoid giving myself them. But with recovery, I think when I came to Boston, that was the first time I'd ever just ran and like not done anything else.
Okay.
So that was a bit of an adjustment. It was like an exciting adjustment that I had the privilege to do that, but it was hard for me to like not do anything. I'm someone who enjoys having lots of activities to do, and I ran Division III, so I was always doing a ton of schoolwork and community service hours and running. And I thrive off of having a lot to do. So it took a while to like learn that I needed to be doing recovery, even if it was active recovery, to like benefit like at this level basically. So that took a long time to develop too, and I'm still not super great at it.
Because there is that balance where like you're training really hard, but then really the rest of the time, like if you were just sitting around doing nothing, it's sort of for the best.
Yes, it's absolutely for the best, but I don't like doing that. Yeah. It's definitely for the best, like especially in track season, I would say, is really, you just don't have time to like be moving around and doing things. I think I found in a road racing series, like in the fall when I'm doing a lot of road racing, I can go do a bunch of stuff, totally fine. I have no issue working a job during that time. Like the training, I just think you don't need to be lifting as much necessarily. In track, I found maybe because it is so intense and competitive that every little bit is like, you need it. Like you need to recover more, you need to be lifting more, you need to be doing more drills. Like you just have to stay on top of it so much more. So yeah, I think to be like a truly competitive, like professional track runner specifically, I don't know how anyone's like working a job and doing it basically. I can see it if you're a marathoner, but yeah, like the recovery is so important.
And isn't that interesting? Because like with marathon running, you think there's a lot of volume involved.
It's
so
a lot
there's
of
a lot more time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the intensity of track racing. And it just seems like it's really hard on your body. Like running in spikes and just the forces of running around an oval really fast.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's probably it. Yeah, you're definitely on your feet way more as a marathoner, but I think, and I haven't ran a marathon, so maybe I don't know, but it seems to me when I'm doing the longer road stuff, I can just get away with maybe not doing as many drills without doing as much lifting. And during the track season, if I'm skipping those things, I think that it really shows.
Oh, interesting.
And maybe part of that is I do steeple. So that's a lot of drills. Yeah. But I found they're like a little different in that way.
All right. So you are coaching yourself, and you said that you are maybe have a propensity to avoid some workouts you don't like. But obviously, so you have some workouts that you do love. And I'm just curious, like, what are some of your favorite workouts?
Yeah. I love myself a good tempo mile. Honestly, I would give myself tempo miles all the time because they're easy. And you get a little break. So the little soccer girl in me is like, oh, yeah, this is awesome. Yeah. Like, I can recover. I like progressively harder Ks, like starting at a certain pace. And then actually, I love any workout where it gets faster as it goes. I almost run. No matter if that's what I'm supposed to be doing, almost every workout I do, I get progressively faster as I go. I like repeat 400s a lot because you kind of get to spin the wheels a little bit, but you're not like having to run an 800, which I hate. So yeah.
Not a lot of 800 repeats.
I don't think I've done a single 800 repeat since I've been coaching myself, and I've been coaching myself since August. Right. So yeah.
I'm curious, you say you like to progressively get faster in your training. Does that translate into your races? Is that a strategy for you?
Yeah, I mean, unintentionally. So I think I always get faster. I almost always like start out a little slower. The mid miles are like fine. Maybe like around like, if it's a 4-mile race, about the third, so like 3/4 of the way through, I might slow down a little bit. Like subconsciously, I'm not doing it on purpose. And then I always hammer the last little bit. It's also how I work out. It's how I've been since I was in high school. I just like to end fast and like to go all out at the end. So
it's a good habit to have.
It is most of the time, yeah. Unless it's a race that's run a certain way, and then sometimes it's not good. But yeah.
So we talked a little bit about confidence, but like the mental aspect of training and racing is so huge. Can you talk a little bit about how you have prepared mentally, and maybe talk a little bit more about kind of maintaining your confidence? I see confidence as something you kind of have to train for. Like you can have dips in confidence and then it goes up and down. And so, yeah, how are you dealing with sort of the mental strategies and confidence?
Yeah, absolutely. I think honestly, like to become a professional runner, you obviously have to have some level of talent, right? Like people can train way harder than someone else, and the person who's training less just has more talent, so they're better. Yeah. But like at the level that I'm at, everyone is working hard and everyone has the talent. Yeah. And so, I mean, I honestly think like at the end of the day, the workouts that you're doing are maybe only 40% of your success. Like we're all kind of doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like the mental side of it is like 60% of like getting good results from yourself. So I think that's huge. And I think everyone kind of knows that, but people work on it in varying levels. I do have a sports psychologist. I got with her last February, I think. And yeah, that's because I was struggling with confidence a lot, I think, around that time. And honestly, she kind of boosted my confidence by just being like, oh, you actually have all the skills. And I was just like, oh, okay. She asked me what I did before races. And I said, I do visualization the night before. If things are getting hard when I'm like warming up and I'm nervous, I start reminding myself of like key workouts that I've done that, like, oh, this was really hard, but you did it. And kind of just relying on, okay, I've done the work to get here, and that can give you confidence. And I just went through my whole routine, and she was like, okay, so you have like Psych 101 down, like you've got it all. And that was actually like, that itself gave me a ton of confidence of like, okay, I'm like doing the right thing. Sometimes doesn't mean that I am confident on the line, but I'm doing everything I can to get there. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I do visualization, imagining the race the night before. Sometimes if I am feeling like, oh, it's going to be really easy to win, and I feel like I'm a little bit too confident about that, I actually will try to imagine like how much pain I'm going to be in. Like I need to remind myself like this is actually going to hurt. Right. I think my fear is that I get in a race, think it's going to be really easy, and then it starts to feel painful, and I'm like, I didn't expect that. Yeah. So I honestly try to remind myself like at some point, this point in the race, like 9 minutes in the race, it's going to be painful, and you're going to make the choice to like push through that. So, and then I think just, being confident, it matters to me a lot that my workouts are consistent and that I'm hitting my paces, because that for me gives me a ton of confidence. Right. I would say that's, besides just like getting on the line and knowing who my competitors are, I can't always control that. What I can control is my consistency in workouts. When I hit my paces in a workout and I feel good doing it, I go to a race and I'm like, I've got this. Even if I know I'm not going to win, I know I will achieve my goals in it. So for me, feeling good while running, the times I think I should run in a workout is like number one where I get the most confident, which sucks because then sometimes you don't feel good in workouts. So that's something I'm trying to work on. To that. Is like ignoring, if I feel really bad for a period of time, I start getting stressed out. My husband can attest to this. I will come home and I'll be like, I'm not in good shape. I'm not in good shape. Oh no, like this is bad. So I've been trying to work on like still getting on the line and trying to give it my all, even if my confidence maybe not is there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And when you have those moments, because you even mentioned like before we were just chatting when you first got here of like, moments when you've had like you're spiraling or just like, do you have some strategies for like calming yourself down or like dealing with those nerves?
I think most of the time my strategy is I talk to everyone else. Yeah. I've noticed that especially before the big road races, I will just be chatting. I will a lot for like the road race circuits, they'll send us out and we'll be there like a day in advance. Mm-hmm. And you see your competitors a lot because you're doing a course tour and you're eating dinner with them. And I get to the night before the race and I lay down in bed and I'm like, I'm exhausted. All I've been doing is talking to people. And it's because I'm so nervous for the race that I find myself, I'm an avoidant personality. So I find myself like avoiding thinking about the race by just like gossiping with people and being like, how's your training going? And this and this and this. But it's worked okay. I feel like a few races I've gotten to the line and been like, oh my gosh, I've barely thought about this race. And that's like, I'll freak out for a second. I'll be like, it's fine. Yeah. You can kind of rely on your instincts. It's okay. And so sometimes when I'm really nervous, I'll just avoid the feeling of being nervous. And that's worked okay. I think in other times when I don't have that outlet of like, maybe a ton of people I know at the race and I can't just like be chatty Cathy. My sports psychologist recommended, I think she said to just like take a few deep breaths like on your warm up, and while you're running, like rely back to like those key moments of like, okay, this workout I did and I finished and it was like a really good workout, and just kind of try to draw your mind away from the race, but maybe not like in a more productive way than just like thinking about anything else, like in a productive way of like, okay, I've done this and this and this, and try to build that confidence back. So I've tried doing that as well. Yeah. Of just like, or like self-affirmations. I'm a very big like self-affirmation in my head person. Like if I'm doing a workout, I'll be like, oh, in college I used to be like all American. And so I'll say things like that, or like USA. Yeah, nothing as a pro flies off the tongue very easily. I can't be like road champion, like nothing works great. But sometimes I'll like say a time, like I'll be like sub 15. So doing that too before a race of just like, you've got this. I'll like cuss at myself in my head, like very like tough love, like, oh, like football coach kind of. I do that a lot in my head before races when I'm feeling really nervous, honestly. Yeah.
Fun. So in addition to, you know, all of the training and the recovery and the mental aspect, are there other parts of your life that you like really like to focus on to make sure that you're getting the most out of yourself? Like, I know sleep is a big deal, and diet, and like, are there some key elements outside of these things we've been talking about that you focus on? I
think for me, balance. Like, honestly, I am a very 0 to 100 person. I can be very intense. So I have I unfortunately want to like hyper focus on the running and, you know, how am I feeling and all that stuff. So for me, it's really important to not think about that, to do other things completely not related to running, whether that's like TV, I play video games, reading, like just something that's not related to it, doing something with my husband or my dog. That's huge for me. If I spent all my time, I would just like spiral, worry myself into a hole. And I think beyond that, I try to get good sleep. I'm not very good at sleeping. I'm very wired all the time, so I'm just not good at it. And then lifting. I'm definitely a runner who emphasizes lifting a lot. It makes me feel better. If I like go a week or two without lifting at all, I like start worrying about it and I stress about it because it just makes me feel better and feel stronger. So that's probably the biggest thing that I emphasize outside of like active recovery and running. Just getting 2 lifts in a week, even if it's, you know, it's better to be consistent. So I've found that I have the tendency to do too much. So I'll like be at the gym and I'll be like, oh, I'll add on this and then I'll add on this and then I'll add on this. And I found it's better for me to do 6 weeks of just two times a week, 45 minutes, instead of like, oh, I'm going to try to do an hour and a half 3 times a week, and then I'm burnt out by 2 weeks in. So that's something I've been like trying to work on, is like moderation. Like just because I have all the time in the day doesn't mean I need to use it.
That balance. I imagine that balance can be tricky because you're constantly pushing yourself to get to like your next level and always like be achieving your best, but you really like, you can't do it all the time.
You can't. That was really hard for me to learn, I think, is like, just because I have time in the day, I should be doing this and I should be stretching now and I should be, you know, going to the gym more and I can spend more time in the gym, and learning that you can't. Like, it's just, you will burn yourself out. And it's more important to me that I'm consistent with everything, even if it's in small bouts, because when I have the tendency to overdo things, and I will, and then you'll get burnt out and you won't do it. And then you lose the consistency, which at this level is like the most important thing, is like, you know, avoiding injuries so that you can be consistent in like just running, but also consistent in all the small habits that kind of add up and help you be the best runner you can be.
Yeah, because it seems also important to recognize that it's not just the physical energy that you expend, but there's like the emotional and the psychological. And if you're just constantly in that space, you need a break. Yeah,
I would say way more. I mean, like the emotional and like just thinking about it, energy, I worry about that way more than the physical. I'm fine running 90 miles a week. I can handle it. Like, I'm tired sometimes, but at some point, once you get used to that, which probably most pro runners have gotten used to, like, you're just kind of exhausted all the time. Your body adjusts to that, right? And so then at some point, it's fine. It's okay. You're in this state of like, it's okay. But the mental and emotional energy that you spend is like a lot. And I think you have to manage that. And it's very hard because everywhere, even just with like social media and things like that, that's where I think the largest of it is sapped away. Because for example, I'm not at World Indoors right now and I'm seeing the results and like I want to watch the results, but it's hard not to be like, oh my gosh, like they're doing this and this, and like, oh, I wish I was there, and like, oh, it's too bad I don't run for another country because then I could be there, and these people, like, you could just worry about everything. Or you see other people's workouts on social media and you're like, why am I not doing that workout? Why can I not hit those times? Or like, oh, that was slow, but their altitude, what does that convert to? And there's just, there's just so much, all the information available to you through social media. It's very hard to manage that. So I would say that's, whether people recognize it or not, that's where the biggest amount of energy is like being sapped from.
Yeah. One thing I'm really excited to talk to you about is your racing. Mm-hmm. You are a super fun racer to watch because you just have, from a spectator standpoint, like I think like, oh, you have like an aggressive style, you have a bold style of racing, I would say. And I think you even mentioned like at the Olympic trials, like you took your shot, and it's exciting to watch you race. And so I'm curious if you can describe, like from your standpoint, like what is your style of racing and how do you approach races?
Yeah.
Like your perfect race, like how does it go?
Yeah. Oh, my perfect race.
Yeah.
That's a great question. My perfect race would probably be one that starts out at a comfortably hard pace, enough that we can kind of burn the people who maybe shouldn't be in the front with us, that we get rid of some people, but I'm not the one pushing the pace, someone else is.
Right.
That'd be my ideal. Let's say it's like a 3-mile race because that's the easiest to break down. So mile 1, someone else is pushing. I'm very comfortably right and second or third, but very obnoxiously on their shoulder because I enjoy running right on people's shoulders. It's a real bad habit. And then I would say around like 2 miles, I'm feeling good enough that I accidentally take the lead. This happens sometimes to me, and it's wonderful when it happens. Where you're just like, oh, I'm pushing the pace, and I don't even mean to. I must be in good shape. And then I take the pace. People maybe stay with me for a mile, but in my ideal world, the 3rd mile, I am just pushing the whole mile, and no one can stay with me. And I get to have a fast finish, but not maybe like a nerve-wracking like kick to the finish. Although I do love those, it's devastating when you lose in one. Right. So I would prefer just like a very hard finish, last 3rd mile that's like very, very fast, where I'm like, oh my God, I just ran that last mile in 4:45 or something like that, and I feel really good about myself. But I win enough that there's like I beat them pretty well. That's my ideal race, probably. It doesn't happen very often, but that is like, if everything could go my way, I would love for that to happen. Yeah, I would say I think in most races, I'm fairly aggressive. I think I try to make it honest a lot. Right. That happened a lot to me in indoor. My husband and I were debating. He was like, you're just the pace setter. Like, people are just like, if no one else goes with the pace, they're like, I'm going to, because I'm here to run a time. Right. And I was like, I get it. Like, I'm not afraid to take the lead and to do something with it. But it's because I want to, like, and if I'm not going to win, fine, I'm not going to win, but I want to at least run a fast time. Right. Okay. I don't super like tactical races, at least when I'm in like a 5K or anything like that. I'd rather just, we all run fast and that's great. And then everyone can be happy if they don't win. Right. But yeah, I would say I'm fairly aggressive. I've been trying to work on being bolder I used to just kind of rely on my kick and just wait until the very end and then outkick people, because I didn't have the confidence in the middle of the race to think that I could take it and win. And I've been trying to work on, in some races, taking it further out. So like at the last USATF 5K championships in New York, I think I made a move with like a K to go. Okay. And I didn't really know if I could sustain it, but I wanted to kind of, not leave it till kick, because it's an uphill finish and I did not want that. But also just to have a more, dominant win and kind of test my opponents a little bit. So, yeah. Right.
Yeah. So on the same note of racing, can you walk us through a couple of like key races that are just like going to stay with you forever? And it doesn't have to be like, oh, I broke the tape. Like just maybe a couple times when you've like learned something or that were just really stick with you.
Yeah. I'll try to think of some that aren't like, I feel like there's a few races of mine that like everyone knows. Like I outkicked when I was pacing, things like that are like, but when I got the Division III steeplechase record, I would say that was a key race because I had no idea what kind of shape I was in. And, I think at that point I had run, my PB was like 10:15.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up running 9:58. So it was a big PB. Yeah. And my coach, before the race, it was like a night race. It was like one of the last ones of the season. It's at North Central. It's like a big D3 race everyone goes to as like last chance qualifier. It's like 2 weeks before nationals. And she was like, I think you can get the Division III record. That had never been on my mind. I had no idea what the Division III record was.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I had one title and I was pretty happy with that. And she was like, I think you can get it. And I was like, what is it? Like, what am
I aiming for?
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? And I just feel like the whole race, I had no idea what I was doing. I don't do mental math in my head of like knowing where I'm at. I'm very bad at that. And I just remember her screaming like, kick, 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 kick. And so and I finished the race and she was like, you broke 10. Like, I think the record was like 10:07. And she was like, you ran 9:58. And I was just like, wow. What? Like, I still feel like I didn't even really have a concept of that. But just, yeah, it was like when someone else so much believes in you and tells you can do something, that was like, I don't know. I mean, she always believed in me, but the fact that she was like, yeah, you can run that. And I was like, can I? And then I did like surpass our expectations. That was just like a huge moment for me of like, okay, like maybe I can do some things. Like maybe I can be a good runner. I would say another race that sticks out is my 6K win. I won it this past summer in August or July, and it was the third time I've been to that race.
Yeah.
I've done it twice before. I finished third. I finished second. The time I finished second was to Cherie D'Amato, and we ran super fast, and she like knew I was coming and barely outkicked me. So it was like, I just felt like I've been to this race so many times. It's in Ohio. It's in the hometown where my uncle went to college and ran at college. It's put on by his college coach.
Oh, wow.
Like it felt like my race. It was a 6K, like it was my distance, and I'd been twice before, and just like both times was like, maybe I can win, and hadn't won it.
Right.
And so I think I thought about it a lot beforehand of like how I wanted to race it. You know, you don't really know what kind of shape people are in because they had just come off the trial. So some people are maybe in really good shape. And then some people are like doing marathons. So like you have no idea because they haven't raced in a while. And I feel like I did end up winning. And I feel like I won because I had lost it so many times that I learned like losing in order to learn how to win, basically.
Right. Yeah.
I knew exactly where I'd lost it the last two times. I knew exactly when I didn't go with someone or when I didn't make a move and when I didn't react and why I had lost. And so that knowledge just helped me know exactly how to race it to win in a dominant way. And I think that was like when I pulled it off and achieved it, I was like, my intuitions were like 100% right. Like I knew exactly where I needed to make a move and surge so that people couldn't stay with me, and it worked. And that was like, yeah, I think that just like in my brain was like, oh, okay, like you were right. Like trust your intuitions more and your gut instincts. Yeah, because like I am a racer, and sometimes it's hard to doubt that because maybe you're a racer and you're not winning all the time. But then when you kind of like reward that part of your brain. And so I would say that was really big for like then later in the year, like running the 5K and making moves at certain times and having that confidence of like, no, because I didn't think out my race plan before that 5K of like, when I know it's right to go, and that worked out. So it taught me to like believe my gut in races.
Yeah. Well, and I imagine too that it also teaches you that like your experience really does matter. Yeah. You know, I mean, there's, yes, the times and you have to be fit and all those other things, but there is that other element of experience where like, and it really makes a difference. Like you say that there's that 60% of it's mental. Yeah. Well, the mental is also your experience. Right. Yeah. So so that's got to be rewarding to be like, oh yeah, like I know how to do this.
Yes. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Because sometimes when you win, it feels, or at least to me, sometimes it's like, oh, that was an accident, low key. Like there's been lots of wins in my career where I'm like, oh, I kind of won that. And like, I didn't really mean to. So to like kind of go out with the intention of winning and to like think through it that much. Yeah. And then to actually follow through on that plan and for it to pay off was like, oh, okay. Yeah. This is different. Like I made this happen. That was very rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. That is like the professional, like you are a professional runner. Like you are very skilled and experienced.
Right. And at that point too, I was like, my coach and I had just severed ties. So it was like just me on my own. He wasn't telling me what to do. There was no one else. It was just like just me. So I feel like that was the first time where I was like, no, I know what I'm doing. Right. And like, I'm good at this. Right. So that was huge. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of on the same note of racing, I'm always curious to ask, like, what is it like being at some of these big events? Like at the Olympic trials, for instance, you know, like in the steeplechase, like you ran really, like you had a really go for it race, I remember. And you don't necessarily have to talk about that one, but like there's these high pressure races. Like what's it like and how do you deal with it?
It's very intense. Yeah. I don't know if other people are experiencing it, but every time there's a championship at Eugene, I feel like I am like freaking out for weeks. Like and then you get there and you're just like, oh my God. You're just like, this is so intense. Yeah. Because even if, you know, it's like before road races, everyone's talking and we warm up together and we're having fun. Track is not like that, especially at the Olympic trials. Like everyone is running around the little graveyard loop next to Eugene and everyone's like, you'll kind of like wave at them, but like no one's talking to each other.
Like even the same competitors that you've raced with in other places.
Yes.
It's so wild.
It's just like this environment of like intensity because it is like, this is what everyone is going for. And especially an Olympic year, like this is everyone's dream and like could be life-changing in their contracts. And so it's so intense. And then, you know, you're warming up and you see like all the sprinters, if you happen to be in a time near them, like with their headphones on, like in the infield, like doing all their intense drills. And it's just like everything is intensified times 100. So I think I just try not to get too nervous and try to just be like, it's another race. Like it is a really big deal, but you know, this is what you plan for. This is what you train for, like to handle this and to be able to handle it in stride. And then afterwards, honestly, is the worst because the majority of people at the Olympic trials are walking away not having made that team. And it's so hard to come off of and like bounce back because you're just like, well, now what? Like that was, 2 years, 4 years of planning. And I thought I could make it, and I didn't. So now what? So it's very hard, and it's hard to walk away, I think, feeling good. Like, it's like so many people have been like, "Oh, you really went for it. That's awesome." In my head, like that was a horrible race. Because it's like
interesting.
Even though I'm proud of what I did, and proud of how it, like, you know, I went for it because that's all you can do. It's like, well, I didn't make that team, so the goal was not met. You know, so it's hard.
And that, like we were talking about, the emotional side of being a professional racer, like managing disappointment. Has got to be.
And everyone's seeing your disappointment, right? Like, everyone watched me not, you know, that's self-centered to think everyone was watching me, but like everyone watched me not meet my goal. Like that's intense. So it's hard to manage at times, but I think you just kind of, then you kind of have to come back and be like, the world is not all about running. It's okay. Like there's other things in my life that are like great and you're not always going to meet your goals and hopefully you learn things from that and move forward and you're better for it the next time you race.
So I want to talk a little bit about how things are today. How is your training going? What's happening with training and racing these days?
Training is going okay. I've definitely not felt great the last few weeks, but then this week I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm in good shape and had good workouts. So I was like, okay, awesome. We're back on board. I think I've just been feeling tired since indoors. I had to race like 2 weekends in a row, and it was like a lot after not having raced in a little bit. But I think training's going well. I took 2 days off after indoors, and then it's a long outdoor season. US Champs is not until July, so I'm trying to hold myself back, which I'm not great at, and not, you know, hit the hammer too hard currently, and just kind of ease a little bit back into more miles and just longer workouts instead of speed stuff. Because if you do that too soon, you're screwed.
So
it's
meter it out.
So I'm trying to take a bit of a step back. In terms of racing, I don't even know. I mean, I think I'm kind of waiting for sponsorship stuff to get sorted out before I make up my mind of exactly what I want to do. Like I said, I'm trying not to jump the gun too much with like, I get in shape very quickly, and so I'm trying to hold off on that because normally I get in shape too quickly and I burn myself out, and then like a month before the trials, I'm like, oh man, I'm hanging on a thread and I haven't even been to the biggest race yet. So I'm trying to hold off. I like racing, so I'm eager to jump into races, but trying to take a slow approach to everything so that I can make it to July still feeling like very energized and ready.
And what will you be focusing on?
I don't know. Probably 5K. I think just because I'm not going to try to coach myself through a steeplechase. I'm not confident in that. And depending on how long it takes for sponsorship and coaching and all that to get sorted out, it's just like I'm already, part of the way through the season. So I think probably 5K, but I'm not confident in that. So either that or steeplechase, but could be either.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And on the roads, is there anything that you're hoping to look forward to? It sounds like that's a really open schedule right now, but.
I'm definitely doing, they moved the USATF 5K championships to May. And it's a selection event for the road world championships. So that is like, Obviously, like the big goal is track because it's like the hardest team to make, but that is like a very strong second. I've never made a U.S. team, and I would really like to. So I would say I think my best chance is in that 5K. So I'm doing that for sure.
Okay.
I'm going to try to make the team. Yeah. So that's in May in Indy. I'd like to try to do the 6K again. I have to look at the timeline of that with the track. I'm a procrastinator, so I haven't looked at it yet, obviously. But that would be something else that I would like consider. And then probably, hopefully, a fall of road races like normal. I enjoy doing that. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm out of questions for you, but I'm hoping that some people here have some questions that they would like to ask you. Yes, please.
In like a week to 2 weeks leading up to a race, how do you, I know we talked a little bit about like your mental tune-up, but like what are some tips that you would give? Like, you know, you're starting to count down, you have a lot of headspace around running, you're thinking about it all the time. I know you mentioned like taking those mental breaks from it, but how do you kind of start to like fine-tune that? And then what does that look like in terms of like fine-tuning before the day and then 15 minutes before the race?
Yeah, like mentally you're asking? Yeah.
Your race is next week, you said, right? Saturday.
Yeah.
Please give
Yeah. I think, okay, so like 2 weeks leading into it, honestly, I mean, like, if it's a big race, you're inevitably thinking about it. I try not to think about it too much until the week of. I find if I think about a race too much, similar to like what I was saying about training, I burn myself out thinking about it. And I get to a point where I'm like, I just don't even care. Like, I don't care what happens with this because I'm just so tired of thinking about it. The week of, I'll definitely think about it more. Like I said, I'm also avoidant, so I don't want to just think about it all the time. So I'll kind of put it off. I have the tendency to start worrying about things the week of. Like, I'll do that pre-race workout, which is always way less. And somehow I'll always be like, my calves are so tight. Oh my God, what's wrong? Like, oh my gosh, like, do I need, so I've learned to just ignore those things. I will still freak out, but I've learned to not put weight into them. So like week of, doesn't matter how you're feeling. I have felt so shitty before some of my best races. Like I'm talking warming up, I feel shitty. You have to kind of ignore those. If you know that you've done the workouts that you need to do in certain times, and if you know that you've like prepared in every way you can, sometimes your body just feels really bad and you have to ignore that and just like not put any weight into it. So I'd say with like your anxieties to ignore them. And then, yeah, just start getting hyped up. Honestly, I found like getting hyped up probably like the day before or the day of is like start being like, yeah, like this is gonna be fun. Like even if you're like, sometimes you have to lie to yourself. Even if you know it's not gonna be fun at all, I always tell myself, I'm like, it's gonna be so much fun. Like telling other people it's gonna be fun, even if you're like, this is not gonna be fun. Yeah, just like lying to your brain a little bit. And then I think 15 minutes before, at that point, usually I am very, very nervous. But I kind of accept it. I think nerves are really good. There's a certain point for me where I know my nerves are too much and I start to waste adrenaline. And so I've worked very hard on making sure my nerves are in this perfect range of nerves are good. If I'm not nervous before a race, especially 15 minutes before, that's a bad sign to me. That usually means I don't actually care about it very much, which means I'm not going to push when it gets hard. So embrace the nerves. They're fine. Again, you don't want them to be like boiling over to the point where you're just like, because that's not good.
Exhausting yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You're wasting energy. And if I do start to get to that point, I think then I try to tell myself like, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all until kind of my nerves are brought back a little bit. So yeah, harnessing them the 15 minutes before and kind of like building up that adrenaline for when the gun does go off. And then once the gun does go off, just don't go out like in a suit. Like don't burn all your adrenaline immediately. Yeah, those would be my tips. Just like managing everything, but not give too much weight to anything.
I'm just going to lie to myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The key takeaway, lie to yourself.
Sometimes you have to, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it is effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lie to ourselves in all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
And oftentimes negatively. So if you can like lie to yourself in a positive way.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Questions?
Last one. Was going pro always the dream? And like regardless of if it was or not, when did it become a reality for you, especially running D3?
Yeah, no. I think like when I was in high school, I was like, I would love to be like a professional athlete, but definitely my mind was more on like, a professional soccer player. I mean, honestly, let's be honest, they're way cooler too than professional runners. So like, duh.
Oh no.
I mean, come on. Let's be real.
They do get to slide on the grass. I mean, okay, fair.
But no, it really wasn't. Like, I just, honestly, even when I went, I would say like semi-pro. Like I was like to my team in Greenville, I would say semi-pro because I wasn't getting paid to be on the team at all. I was getting just like a little bit of support. Like even then, like I was very excited about it, but it wasn't even like a, okay, well soon I'm going to be good enough to go actual pro and make money. It was kind of like a, I'll do this for a year or two. I know I can get better and I think I can run really fast, but I never really thought I would be like, oh, I'm fast enough that someone's going to pay me a salary to do this. Or like, oh, I never thought I'd be fast enough that I'm running, like, honestly, I thought maybe I would run sub 16 once. I never thought I'd be at like 15 flat ever.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say like the time that it was like, no, I want to make this like I really want to be a pro was probably when I was looking at like a year into being on my team in Greenville. At that point I was running like 15:35, but I knew that I could run at least a little faster. And I knew that was fast enough at that time to be a professional. So it kind of grew as I got better. I was never, definitely college. I didn't even really realize I could be like a semi-pro until my senior year. It just wasn't a path that a lot of D3 people took. Yeah. And it certainly wasn't a path that like I really knew of anyone else who was like doing it. The only person I knew of was there's a D3 girl who's a professional named Emily Richards, and she won like, I don't know, 7 national titles or something. She's an 800-meter runner, and she joined Hoka NYNJ, if anyone remembers that team. And she joined that. Yeah, it's a New York team that was sponsored by Hoka, like a real professional team. And she joined them after college, and I was like, what? I was like, that's an option? Like, girl, what? Because no one did that out of D3 in those days. Yeah, there's like 3 examples. Like I can list every single person who's gone D3 to like actual pro, you know?
Right.
So it kind of grew over time. Yeah, as it became more of a reality for me.
What was it like to switch from, it sounds like you had a coach and then you started to coach yourself in August. What was that transition like for you?
Yeah.
And how do you like coaching yourself?
Yeah, I don't like coaching myself. I think people think because I've been doing it so long that I must be like intent on still doing it. No way. No. It's been a fun experiment. Yeah, honestly, things just ended so badly with my coach. I was not looking to get into another coaching relationship. And I knew that at the end of the year, I'd be leaving the BAA because that's when my contract was up. And I knew that with the contract like negotiations, there might be a case where my agent comes to me and says, okay, this brand wants you and they want you to join this team with this coach. And so I just honestly, I probably couldn't have asked lots of people to coach me in that time. I just didn't want to start another coaching relationship because of fear of how the last one ended. But also I just didn't want to like waste someone's time for me to then possibly move on to a different coach because I had to. I wanted to be open to that. And I felt pretty confident that I could coach myself for like a fall season. I don't know why, but like coaching myself to run well on the roads, I was like, that's easy. Track did not feel as easy. But yeah, I think because it was like, I wasn't expecting to like part ways with my coach. So that was like, it was difficult because of that. But yeah, it just took a little bit of time to kind of like adjust to it. Cause I was also went from being on a team to suddenly being by myself. So it was difficult, but I think just because of like the situation and how quickly it arose, I was like, oh, okay, this is happening. But yeah, I think like there was things that gave me confidence through coaching myself. Like I did, I ran well the whole season, and like I was reinforced of like, okay, I'm doing the right things. Like maybe I'm not doing everything perfectly, but like I'm at least doing the majority of it right because I'm like running small PBs and everything. So that was like helpful. Yeah.
All right. I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's super pleasure of mine. Yeah, I've really been looking forward to this, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
It was really nice of you guys. Yeah. Now we can all enjoy some warm weather.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Women's running. Women's running stories.
My name is Cindy Burnett, and each week I interview at least 2 traditionally published authors on my podcast, Thoughts from a Page. We talk spoiler-free about their books, so you can listen whether you have read the book or not. And then we delve into things that you most likely won't hear about anywhere else. The importance of the cover design, why they included various aspects of the story, personal details about both the books and the authors' lives, and so much more. You can find the podcast on every major platform and learn more about it on my website, thoughtsfromapage.com. Thanks so much for checking it out.